Kristian Braekkan, and I'm an assistant professor in the Department of Economics and Management here at Gustavus.
I'm Brian Konkol. I serve as chaplain of the college. I also teach in the Three Crowns curriculum and in the Peace Studies program here at Gustavus Adolphus.
This is a book project that focuses on synthesizing or bringing together perspectives from Marxian theory and theology in order to understand the consequences of dehumanization or commodification of human labor through capitalist economic modalities and consumer societies.
The research really begins with the idea that the most prominent religious practice in North America right now isn't Christianity, it's not Islam, it's not Hinduism, but it's economism. Meaning that we have this belief that production and consumption and economic growth can simply solve all the world's problems. And in doing so, gross domestic product becomes our God, and production and consumption becomes our worship. So we're looking at that particular religious tradition of economism, knowing that this essentially dominates so much of our thoughts and our decisions. And so it really starts from that worldview.
And this is something Marx dealt with in the 19th century as well, specifically talking about economic fetishism, or this belief that commodities, money, and capital had sort of these properties that were productive on their own, and this idea that we forget about the labor processes and the value creation through human labor that underlies all the creation of value in society.
One of the things that really excites me about this project is exploring theological affirmations and how they have economic implications. I mean, for example, if a theological affirmation is that people are created in the image and likeness of God, it means that they have intrinsic value, full stop. But yet economism and the current economic structure says that you only have value if you produce and consume and produce and consume and so on and so on and so forth. So the research explores how these theological values get institutionalized or operationalized, and what would an economic structure look like if people were valued simply for who they are rather than being cogs in this economic machine. And so I think it's something that people really feel on the ground. So it's not just an intellectual exercise, but this is something that people are feeling right now. And so this is going to speak to a broad audience and help to explore new rules of this household that we have created, and therefore we can also deconstruct as well.
Professor Kristian Braekkan and the Reverend Dr. Brian Konkol join forces to examine the economic principles and practices of modern society, in particular the effects of the commodification of human labor under capitalism. Already in the 4th century BC, Plato examined the division of labor and the principles of economic exchange. And the study of the ethical implications of socioeconomic systems goes back to Greek philosophers such as Plato and Aristotle, who are also the first to use the term economics, referring to the management of the oikos, or household. The 2016 Nobel Conference, titled In Search of Economic Balance, brings to Gustavus leading economists from around the world to examine the challenges in real-world implementation of economic theories. Braekkan and Konkol go still further in this book project, calling into question the very foundational principles of our economic system.
We get often told in theology that theology is far too important to be left simply to the theologians, and what I've learned is that economics is far too important to just leave to the economists. And so by bringing these ideas together, it's a wonderful exercise of connectivity, which is really the essence of religion, is to connect and to reconnect. And economics is the rules by which we set in terms of how we connect with each other. So exploring those connections with a theological lens has taught me how to operationalize those values and to operationalize theology. And it's truly a wonderful, wonderful project. And I'm excited to see where it leads. And I'm convinced that students, faculty, staff, and people in the greater community are going to be energized by this project. And so I'm ready to keep moving forward.
I think what I've taken away the most from our collaboration, Brian, I think is rethinking the Marxist lens of exploitation and alienation. You know, these processes that are resulting out of separating labor and labor power for the purpose of extracting surplus value or profits. And I think it's forced me to start thinking about, you know, it's not just the mechanistic elements that are present in Marxist thought, but also the humanity that goes into it. You know, the respect for humanity. You know, what does this do to us as human beings? Because that's certainly not something you'll find in most Marxian analysis.
My name is Eric Dugdale, and I teach classics at Gustavus Adolphus College. As Hanson Peterson Professor in Liberal Studies, I'm excited to showcase some of the fascinating projects happening here at Gustavus. One of the distinctives of a liberal arts tradition is how it makes connections across disciplines. If you had told Plato that he would have to focus only in philosophy, or politics, or musical theory, or linguistics, and not study all four, he would have said that you are crazy. Or imagine telling Leonardo da Vinci that he was an artist, not an engineer. But in recent years, we've seen the rise of increased specialization at large universities, with research focusing on narrow and often highly technical subfields. At liberal arts colleges like Gustavus, faculty and students alike refuse to be pigeonholed, choosing instead to follow our intellectual interests wherever these may lead. And their liberal arts education is positioning our students as future leaders in a world in which the biggest breakthroughs lie in the intersection of fields previously seen as separate.
As a graduate of a liberal arts college, and now as a chaplain of a liberal arts college and teaching at a liberal arts college, it's exciting to see the connectivity between the different disciplines, that it's not just theology is over here and economics is over here, but seeing these connected and having them in conversation with each other for the sake of serving a common good. I find that incredibly exciting.
Yeah, and this is why I'm excited for being at Gustavus, because this is an opportunity to continue to learn, and it forces me as a scholar to go outside my comfort zone and learn from someone in another discipline. So this is fantastic, a fantastic opportunity that we have in the liberal arts and that we have at Gustavus.